Hello everyone, welcome to another video. It's showcasing a Seraph Snow update. Now that we've tested the set 4 meta quite enough, we've decided that we're going to showcase this deck for you today. And I'll have my teammate from Valkyrie's Chosen, SilverSammy, to go over his choices for this deck. For these purposes, we've already put out the deck in a neat fashion and we'll go over each and every choice. So take it away, Sammy. Seraph Purelight. Why is she an improvement to the deck?
Because it fixes something that the deck has been struggling with since the beginning. They've always lacked a lot of power. So now that Seraph Purelight gives like an anthem effect to the entire front row, the deck can finally push and pressure the opponents.
Okay, so you have Purelight. She gives you triple drive. She can manipulate multiple spaces of the field. Does that make certain matchups easier? In particular, that used to be a struggle point?
It is fun to play against Dark State's deck because you just rip their soul away from them, so it kind of hinders their entire gameplay. It's also just fun against decks that don't really have a lot of hand advantage, because ripping 2 cards away from them, if you're able to do it every turn, really hurts them. And then with the huge power boost she gives to the front row, they die pretty fast.
Okay, so one thing that I've noticed as well, it's right in the middle. You still run Perio Turquoise. A lot of people have cut this unit, but you still run it, and you know, you mess with your opponent. Why is that?
Well, you said it yourself, it still messes with the opponent. I was considering cutting it, but now that I think about it, I think a lot of people actually like underestimate how impactful -5 power can be. Because to me personally, it happens a lot that I just like miss 5k shields to guard and be able to guard something. So that really helps, and she's just really fun to run in combination with the Grave 3 Taser Lage, because both of them just disadvantage your opponent in their own turn, which makes it a lot easier to guard their attacks. They are both also good units to use as decoys actually, because your opponent will want to get rid of them, but that's actually good for you. You just let through their attacks because that's less you have to guard and more attacks they waste on getting a unit off your field.
Okay, then next up, of course, you're running Macarite. You're running 3 copies of it. She is very necessary in the deck, of course. Why aren't you running 4?
Because personally, I like my cards very consistent. I never run one-offs, except for the prison in this case, of course. Never run one-offs, and I really dislike running 2-offs, because unless you have a lot of searching effects, I just feel like I'm never gonna see it. So just running everything at 3 and 4, I feel like I get everything consistently, while still being able to use all the effects as well. So also, Macarite is quite soul heavy, because I have experimented with her at 4, and in those cases I actually ran out of soul and I just completely lost steam.
Okay, then of course you have the grade 1 up there. What made you run her over, say, more copies of your to add to your consistency?
Well, the grade 1 is kind of special in that you either you want to run a lot of copies of her because she's able to search herself from the deck. So if you only run 3 copies of her and you use one, you search one out of the deck, you'll still have another copy left in the deck, but then her effect is useless because there's no more copies of her in the deck. So you either run her at 2 or 4 in my opinion. Okay. And at 2, there's just too much risk that you'll lose one to the damage zone.
Okay, so lastly we have your draw triggers. You're running 3 of those. Would you opt for the front triggers, or is there, you know, a point for just running the draws?
I personally don't feel like I need the front triggers. I used to run them in the old build without the grade 4, but now that the grade 4 adds so much power to the front row, I like the draw triggers more to just add to my hands. because the deck itself doesn't create a lot of hand advantage. Your hand advantage comes from the triple drive from the Seraphs and the draw from Shovel Stud. That's the only thing that can add to your hand, so a few extra draw triggers to keep your hand filled is just better for your gameplay in the long term.
Okay. Then lastly, you've been playing this deck since set 1. Is there anything that you want to say about how it's evolved and how you hope to see it evolve coming down the line?
Well, I really like how it evolved because it just started as a very grindy deck, which I always love. And it was, in my opinion, one of the most interesting decks to play, and then it gradually got more and more stuff. It became more defensive for a while, now it became very aggressive. But then I still chose to keep it like half and half, keep a little bit of both. And for my hopes for the future that it gets, I would say either a new prison that gets a new effect, or some kind of unit that allows, some kind of unit that says that your opponent's skills don't activate if they call something from prison. Because that is also something this deck struggles with a little bit. If your opponent has a lot of on-place effects, then you're kind of helping them if you're not careful with which cards you imprison.
Okay. Do you have anything to say to other potential Prism players or people that look at this deck profile and go, oh, I really want to get into this deck and its playstyle?
I would say if you want to play this deck, get to know every other deck very well. Because you'll be playing around what they do and they'll be playing around your prison, so you really have to have a lot of knowledge about every other deck that's in the format right now.
Okay, thank you for showing us your deck. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Stay radiant, bye bye.